Welcome to Shaw Spotlight Studios here in beautiful Nanaimo. My name is Matt Carter. Thanks so much for joining us here for a conversation with a guest who many folks may recognize for many years managing trades and health and human services programs over at Vancouver Island University, or maybe many years here in the Oceanside area developing career services programs. But today, we're going to feature her work telling people to go out and play in the sand. Very happy to welcome here to the studios, Chery Dill, the president of the Parksville Beach Festival Society. Cheryl, thanks so much for joining us here at Shaw.
Thank you for the lovely introduction. Now go pound sand.
I intend to head right to the beach, which I think that's what you meant there after the interview.
Yeah, that's right.
But you know what, let's talk about, I want to talk about the Beach Festival because you know what, I grew up in Parksville, so I know a lot of it, but what's it about? But it has not been around, of course, for a number of years here because of COVID, now back this year. So how does it feel to have this festival back after 3 years?
Honestly, it's an incredible relief. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was nice to have a couple of summers where, you know, you don't have a huge commitment elsewhere, but it really is a bit of a relief because for a volunteer organization where, you know, we're rallying to work on an amazing event that has a huge community impact, it really was a roller coaster for the last 2 years for all of us. So when, you know, we were working with all of the protocols in January, February, and realizing, no, we can make this happen, checking in with Bonnie Henry's office, it really was a relief to say, you know what, we can do this and we can bring people from all over the world and have a great time in Parksville in 2022. So we're so happy that it's going really well.
As I say, kicking it off in July, 10,000 visitors in that first weekend. How does that make you feel?
Oh, you know what? I think we surpassed 10,000. I think we were closer to 11, and it made me feel great, especially when we had a wet weekend. And you know, the weather, is if it rains, who wants to go play in the sand when it's raining? Well, the Sculptors certainly do, and they were there all weekend. But I tell you, Matt, there was a lot of positive energy when we opened it up on that Friday afternoon. We had the dance troupe there honoring the theme because we did the Roaring 20s as a theme. And what a fun weekend it was. We had fun events on Friday and Saturday night to honor the sculptors and the sponsors, and everybody was dressed up in the theme for the occasion, and so you saw a lot of feathers in the hair and a lot of wonderful costumes. But for the Saturday and the Sunday, when people were coming to see, it was really, really busy both days and lots of positive energy, and just you could tell that people wanted to get out and enjoy and be by the beach and take in this amazing artwork in the sand.
Absolutely, yeah. Amazing first weekend. We'll let folks know too as well, the festival going until August the 21st, and we'll talk a bit about the final weekend here a little bit later on. But first, I just want to get back to the basics. So we've talked about it's a beach festival, there's some sand sculpting, but what else happens as part of the Parksville Beach Festival?
Yeah, well, we've got lots of things going on every summer. And for this year, bringing it back after a little bit of a hiatus there, we wanted to certainly honor all the kinds of events that had been popular in the past. So, you know, we had the art in the park. So we featured a lot of artisans from all over Vancouver Island, and that was a lot of fun. And that was thanks to a sponsor that, you know, we bring back every year. We also had on the opening weekend something that many families come for. That was the Canadian Tire Sculpt Like the Pros event, and so we bring up a couple of sculptors from Victoria who help us out by teaching people how to sculpt like the pros, but also just having a lot of fun in the sand. And that's in the larger sand pit right across from the sand sculpting site where there's often volleyball being played. So that whole, you know, edge of that pit was filled with families trying to sculpt, and you saw all kinds of wonderful things coming out of that. So that Sculpt Like the Pros, that learning weekend during open weekend is always a fun gathering. We have art in the park, and then we also have buskers, Party City buskers every day at the beach between 11 and 1 and also between 2 and 4. And so you can go in and see the sculptures and enjoy some live music every day alongside the beach, right on the boardwalk. So that's a lot of fun. And then we also have the light up, which comes next weekend And that's going to be sponsored by the Coastal Community Credit Union, and we light up the sculptures at the very final weekend. So that's a great way to end. Now, in between, we always have the Tim Hortons Summer Concert Series, where there's free music in the new Parksville Outdoor Theatre. So that's a lot of fun this year. That's a big change for us, a new venue for our entertainment. So we can talk about that if you have time.
I definitely do want to talk about that, because
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the buskers, and so often has been sort of a music element in different ways over the years. But this is a new sort of a real state-of-the-art stage performance space for the park. So yeah, tell us where exactly in the community park it is, and what was the impetus for getting this performance stage put together?
Right, well, you know what, this new stage is tucked away in one of the corners of the park, closer to the shady area, closer to the main drag through Parksville. And it's a lovely spot because there's lots of trees for the shade. There's also some sun that comes in there. But this new outdoor performance theater is world class. And I say that based on entertainers sharing their feedback after our 3-day Rock the Park concert series that was sponsored by Mid-Island Co-op. What a tremendous event that was. We had, up to 4,000 people at once in the park, in that corner of the park, and everybody was just fully engaged in the music. It was a lot of fun. But how this came to be is because of the success of the sand-sculpting event, and it's sponsored every year by Quality Foods. What a tremendous sponsorship that they have provided for us. So with their help and the success of all kinds of visitors coming through the gate, we've been able to raise funds over the years and put a little bit of money aside towards this. This was part of our strategic plan that we developed in 2012 as a society, to actually have a performance venue in the park that was a couple of steps better than the picnic shelter that we've been using for years. I mean, we've had a lot of fun with that picnic shelter, but it's just a picnic shelter. It's not a performance stage. And if you're a musician playing in there, the reverb in a picnic shelter with a metal roof, it just doesn't work very well.
Echo.
Right? So, and the audiences, the audience will just appreciate the sound that much more. Well, we've just been incredibly delighted with the output of sound from this new theater. And we put a lot of money, thanks to BC Arts Council. We got a grant to take some of those funds and put it into purchasing really high quality audio equipment. And we did a lot of thought. We put a lot of thought into the design of the performance stage and how it would push the sound out into the park in a beautiful way, and it works really well.
And this is a stage not just for the festival, right? Is this going to actually be a year-round stage, or just a summer stage?
You got it. Well, I mean, it's an outdoor theater, so I envision that and first and foremost, thanks to the City of Parksville for supporting this. It is their facility. They handled the construction, but together we wrote a couple of grants and got federal grants and provincial grants. Island Coastal Economic Trust was a huge impetus to help us move that forward. So we've signed a 3-year contract to operate that theater, and we envision that theater will be in action typically between May and say September every year. I mean, that's when people will want to rent it and use it. But you know what? I can see us standing outside with our cup of hot chocolate at Christmas time, and for various holidays, singing songs and just listening to choirs, or enjoying some Indigenous performances, enjoying dance troupes performing. Maybe there'll be a Celtic festival. We don't know, but we're very confident that the opportunity is huge there, and the performers who have been there so far are spreading the word. And our entertainment director, who has taken the lead on working with the city to get that stage in place now, and that's Lloyd Derry. He has just worked tirelessly. He and I together, we wrote a lot of grants, but he is just being inundated now with people saying, we want to perform in that Parksville Outdoor Theater.
That's quite a development if you think about the history of the festival, and going back to the late 90s, you know, when just before you got involved, there was, you know, a lot of people still associate that festival with the Sandcastle riots and, you know, music, and I'm assuming adult beverages down in the park and that sort of thing. So that's quite an accomplishment to go from where that was, refocusing as a family-focused event, and now bringing arts back to the beach.
Oh yeah.
How does it feel to be a part of that transition?
You know, it feels, I wasn't here for the riot. I moved here the year after, you know, but I heard so much reverb about the riot, and I, you know, heard stories, and, you know, people were impacted by that riot in Parksville, and the mayor literally read the riot act in the streets to shut it down. And so for a couple years, the event that was known and loved by locals and beyond couldn't happen. So yeah, it took a little while for us for the individuals that brought it back to assess, so what was the most successful thing about Beach Festival? When it was just one weekend, what was the best part of it? And so they wanted to make it family friendly. They wanted to focus on sand sculpting because that's the wow factor of the whole festival. And so that's what we did. We brought it up off the beach. From an environmental point of view, it's way better to have it off the beach and contained. And then we're able to have an exhibition for 5.5 weeks and share the beauty of this artwork with so many for such a long duration. So yeah, rallying back after such a negative impact on our community to have such a huge positive impact on our community. We've donated $1 million towards the community since bringing it back. And that's a huge amount of work and a huge impact for a small community, and made up of a society, like Parksville being such a small society. You know, we only have 10 directors, but we engage about 150 volunteers by welcoming people through the gate, because those gate ambassador groups that volunteer with us, you know, that reverberates to them as well, all the positive community impact.
Yeah, there's two groups here. We have just a couple more minutes here in the conversation. Two groups I want to ask you about, and the first is the folks you just mentioned, the volunteers. Yeah. Any interview I've seen with you always give a big shout out to the volunteers. What do they mean to the festival and that event?
Oh, it's everything. I get goosebumps right now. I mean, the whole event is mainly focused on volunteerism. We are fortunate enough to be able to pay an event manager, and we have Patty Blomberg is fantastic, and then we get grants to support us hiring summer students. But you know, that's between how many people this year? That's 6 paid staff, which is great. That's the most we've had this year. But 150 volunteers that welcome these visitors and that contribute to organizing music in the park as well for us, managing the risk and doing all that work. That is all about community engagement. So, you know, I talked about an environmental impact. The social impact of Beach Festival is huge. It engages all those volunteers. It provides something for local residents to be proud of, you know, have their families who are visiting, have some fun down at the beach in a different way. And then, you know, just being part of something that draws the world to Parksville. Because if you look at that map where people say, where am I from? It's covered in dots from all over the world. It's just a phenomenal thing. So it raises a lot of pride to have such an event in a small town and to be part of it. So that's a huge part. But the economic spin-off is huge too, Matt. Yeah.
Well, the other group I want to mention, and wrap up here fairly shortly, but of course the sandcastles don't happen without the sculptors. And the professional sculptors, they do an amazing job. Again, these sculptors that stay up through the whole festival. And I looked at a program from about 10 years ago. A lot of the same names that were there then as there are this year now. So just a quick word on why these sculptors keep coming back and competing here in the Parksville event.
Because they love what we do in Parksville. They love the culture in Parksville, you know, they love the small town atmosphere, and we take our time to treat them like the kings and queens that they are. They do amazing work. They're like family to us for Beach Festival Society, so we treat them like family, and they love Parksville.
Do you ever, Matt, do you ever think that playing at the beach could ever lead to something that gives $1 million back to a community, brings people from around the world?
You know, when I joined, I just wanted to be part of positive change in the community, and that's what we've done. So it's really, all of us as directors, we're incredibly proud of this event, and you know, creating this beautiful outdoor theater. I mean, you have to come see it. You have to play on that stage, Matt. You will love it.
Yeah.
You know, that's just gives us such a sense of pride.
Perfect.
So we're happy with that.
Awesome. All right. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for all your work, again, over many years now, and again, putting Parksville on the map, keeping the Parksville Beach Festival on the map. If there's anyone out there who might want to learn about volunteering next year or sponsoring next year, how can they find out more information or get a hold of you?
You know, probably the easiest thing is to go to our website and email us at info@parksvillebeachfest.ca, or, you know, give us a call. Our number's on the website, parksvillebeachfest.ca.
Perfect. All right, Cheryl, thank you again so much for joining us today. Really appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for such a great show.
No problem. Happy to talk. And again, one more shout out back to the viewers out there. The Parksville Beach Festival, the 2022 version, going until August the 21st. Again, it's the Parksville Community Park and Beach there. And again, the Coastal Community sponsored Light Up also taking place on August 19th and 20th. So a chance for you to check out those amazing sand sculptures in the evening, again, as part of the Light Up. Thank you so much for watching your Shaw Spotlight. As mentioned, I got to go hit the beach. Hope to see you down there soon. Thank you so much for watching.